Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, also known as 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that's committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles to people throughout the world. Today, we have Jacquie Forde with us. Jacquie is a gifted teacher, coach, and intuitive. Jacquie Forde has always known there was more to life than she could see, understand, or touch. With professional qualifications in nursing, midwifery, shamanic healing, NLP, hypnosis, the three principles, and 3 decades spent in corporate UK in blue chip organizations working in sales, marketing, business development, and government affairs, Jacquie readily admits that she was always more interested in the transformative power of the spiritual nature of life and left the 9-to-5 behind to create her own successful business over 7 years ago. Her work delivers conscious expansion and peace of mind to clients in all walks of life, with a thriving physical practice located in Scotland and a global online practice. She's passionate about sharing her knowledge and allowing her clients the space to embrace their own innate wisdom and to tap into their highest potential. You can read more about Jacquie at JacquieForde.com, and I'll post her bio underneath the YouTube recording, so you'll have a way of getting in touch with her as well. So Jacquie is going to talk to us about no more drama. Can we trust our intuition and the feeling? I like that. So thank you so much, Jacquie. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Bonnie. I always have a real bother with writing a bio, because most of the time when people say, send me a bio, Jacquie, I normally send Jacquie Forde, human being, because essentially that's what I am. I'm just a human being, just like everybody else on the call. And everything else that is on that bio that you just heard from Bonnie and you'll read is the labels, the wonderful labels that I apply to myself so that other people can understand how I work in the world and how I show up in the world. But those people that know me know I couldn't really, I don't care. I don't care about those labels whatsoever. Tonight I thought what I'd really like to do is to start off with a quote from Sid. So if you will allow me the honour to read your quote from Sid, it kind of sets the tone for what I want to talk about tonight. What we are talking about is learning to live in the present moment, in the now. When you aren't distracted by your own negative thinking, when you don't allow yourself to get lost in moments that are gone or yet to come, you are left with this moment. This moment now truly is the only moment you have. It is beautiful and special. Life is simply a series of such moments to be experienced one right after the other. If you attend to the moment you are in and stay connected to your soul and remain happy, you will find that your heart is filled with positive feelings. A quote from Sydney Banks. At the beginning of all of these webinars, I always say, the understanding of the three principles has made such a huge difference to my life, to my clients' lives, and to my family's lives. It's an understanding that I came across after many, many, many years of searching, knowing there was something else, but not knowing what that was, that took me down routes of looking at form, things like NLP, hypnosis, to starting to look in the direction of the spiritual side of life with people like Wayne Dwyer and Eckhart Tolle, and eventually finding the work of Sydney Banks. I just don't have enough words for the gratitude that I feel inside, knowing that at last I've gone from searching to knowing. And that's the journey that I take my clients on. That's the journey that I take my family on. And that's the journey that I'm taking myself on. I know how I work. I know how I work because of the writings and the teachings of Sydney Banks. And knowing how I work means that I have love and peace and compassion for every other human being that I meet. Until I don't. And that's part of the wonderful thing about being human. Understanding where my experience of life is coming from and knowing that that stillness always resides within me. Now, tonight, I don't want to add more, not more knowledge or experiences, beliefs or facts. Even though those kind of things get people excited and they kind of satisfy our ego because we think we know something new and something interesting. My sort of aim tonight is to stimulate your personal mind. Your personal mind in the direction of your impersonal mind, your spiritual nature, your true nature. And I aim to do that by bringing to light how we all live in this stream of thought, this never-ending stream of thought. I want you to start to see that you are the witness of that stream of thought, that you are the observer of that stream of thought. You are not the stream of thought. So through stories of clients, of family, of myself, my aim is to help you see whatever it is that you're meant to see tonight about how when we live in the present moment, there is no need for drama. I wonder if you know that that stream of thought that you have, we hear it being sort of, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. That 99.9% of those thoughts are recurring thoughts. It's the same thoughts. It's not new thoughts, it's recurring thoughts that are happening all the time. Now, I'm 56 in a couple of months' time, and it's quite interesting to think that here am I now, living the life I've lived, but I'm still having the same thoughts day in and day out. And the beautiful thing about this understanding is I'm not paying attention to them the way that I did before I came across the principles. I'm going to start off with a little story because I want you to start noticing your personal stream of thinking. I'll start off with a wee story about one of my daughters. My youngest daughter, Lauren, she's in second year at university, going into third year of university, and she was holding down a full-time job, and she was getting ready to go and meet her boyfriend in Vietnam. She was packing up a flat because she was about to move into a new flat. And she was trying to hold everything together and to see her family and just to be the most organised person that she could. She was trying to be a grown-up. And a couple of weeks before she went on holiday, I said to her, because she was going to Vietnam, I said, Lauren, have you got your visa for Vietnam? And she said, oh, Mum, I don't need a visa for Vietnam. When I get to Vietnam, I can actually get a visa when I'm there. And I thought, okay, she's researched this is okay, it's fine. And so the next couple of weeks, she worked very hard. She was earning money. She was packing up her flat. She was getting organised. And the day she was going to Vietnam, I took her to the airport. And she was so excited and she looked so beautiful because she was meeting up with her boyfriend who'd been travelling in the Far East for about 3 months. So this was like the big romance and it was all exciting to see one another again. And she stood at the desk beside me and she handed the lady over her tickets and her passport. And the lady looked at her and she said, Lauren, how long are you going to Vietnam for? And Lauren said, I'm going for 4 weeks. With this beaming smile on her face, so excited about what was going to happen. The lady took her details and went very, very quiet. Now, I don't know if any of you have experienced this at an airport, but when they go quiet, it's generally not a good thing. So Lauren started to look at me, and I was just smiling. And the woman said to her eventually, Lauren, we can't let you on the plane unless you have a visa. She said, we can let you on, but you can only go for 2 weeks, but you can't go for 4 weeks. And if we do that, Lauren, you're going to have to change your flight back home to come back in 2 weeks. Or if you like, what you can do is you can apply online, get your visa, not travel to Vietnam today, but travel tomorrow, in which case you'll have to buy a whole new flight. And I could see her turn to look at me. That beautiful beaming smile that she had started to go down. Her eyes started to fill. And her actions started to become quite jerky and quite agitated. And I just said to her, Lauren, just get on the flight. We'll figure it out. Just get on the flight and we'll figure it out. So she got on the flight. Bearing in mind, Bank of Mum and Dad had to pay to change the flight. So she got on the flight and she got to Vietnam. But while she was traveling to Vietnam, we had to get her a visa. So when she landed, she had the paperwork. So that was all ready and it was all sorted when she landed. And she had a lovely time with her boyfriend for a couple of weeks. And then we had to figure out how we were going to get her back home. So I sorted all of that for her and got her back home. So at the end of it, the flight that she paid for, I ended up paying double to get her there and get her back, considering she didn't have her visa. And while she was away on holiday, she said to me, Mum, thank you so much for helping me out. She said, typical Scottish phrase, you're a legend, Mum. You know, I thought you would be really angry with me. And she says, I'm so sorry for creating a mountain out of a molehill here, Mum. And I told her, Lauren, that there are no mountains. There are no molehills. It was what it was. If I had, at that point at the airport, started to fight with what was, I'm fighting against reality. I'm trying to swim upstream. My ego might have wanted me to make her feel bad and to make her feel small about what had happened. But in fact, I was so proud of her because as a 20-year-old girl, she had packed up a flat, found a new flat, was working, saw her family, and got ready to go to Vietnam, this huge big trip for her for a month. And she dropped one ball, and that ball was her visa. Years ago, I would have made her feel bad about that. But not now. Because it's easy for us to live life and accept what's happening in the moment instead of trying to satisfy our own little personal minds to make ourselves feel better when things don't go the way we want. And in turn, what we can do is make the other person feel bad. And that doesn't do anybody any good. All I had in that moment at the airport was love. Was love in my heart for my daughter, who was living her life and living her truth. And we all make mistakes. We all do things that we shouldn't do, or forget to do things that we should do. So the principles of mind, thought, and consciousness have taught me that in every single given moment of time, I have the opportunity to live my life from a completely blank slate. I have the opportunity to see where my state of mind is and to respond or react. And when I'm living in my true nature, the obvious thing to do is just to respond from that beautiful space of love and kindness and acceptance. My mother was very judgmental of me. And I remember a couple of months ago, I have 3 daughters, and I said to my daughters, I was telling them about my mum. And they said, Mum, we don't remember you ever judging us. And that really filled my heart, because I thought I probably had in my head, but I hadn't actually said it out loud. And it made me realise how simple it is for us to use these gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness in low states of mind to make other people feel sad if they don't understand how they're creating their experience of life in any given moment of time. So No More Drama, it's a favourite song of mine by Mary J. Blige. Fantastic song. If you get a chance to listen to it, please do. Because it feels to me that most of my life has been full of drama. In fact, I do love a bit of drama. It seems to sort of spice up life in a very, very interesting way. But when drama hurts us and it hurts other people, then it doesn't make sense to me anymore to live my life that way. So tonight, as I continue talking, I would love you guys not to actually listen to the words that I'm using. And I know everybody says that. Everybody says, don't listen to what I'm saying, listen for the feeling. And people will say to you, oh, listen as though you're listening to a piece of music. And I'm just going to say something that I've always found very useful. When I listen to music, I listen for a feeling. There are bands in my past I've totally adored, like the Associates, where Billy Mackenzie's voice would lift me up and drop me. Beautiful, beautiful sounds. When we listen to a piece of music, we're in the present moment, in the now, as Sid says. That's where the magic is, in the now. When you're listening to a piece of music, you're not thinking, oh, there's a drum roll 40 beats ahead, or, oh my God, I love the beginning of that song. While you're listening to it, you're listening to the music unfolding. That's what I mean when I say listen as though you're listening to a piece of music. Listen to where the feeling takes you from what you're hearing from me as another soul speaking to you in this webinar. And that way we'll all settle into the same space, the same notes, one by one by one. As I mentioned, sort of drama was kind of like a magnet to me growing up. And it's all because I didn't understand. I just didn't understand where my experience of life was coming from. I remember a time when I was driving and I'd taken the kids to school and I was really tired and I was running late and I had to get to a meeting. And after I dropped the kids off, I was to go up this hill to get to the motorway that I wanted to get to. And as I drove up the hill, there was cars parked on either side. So on either side, there was nowhere to move. So a car came down the hill as I was coming up the hill. And he stopped. And I stopped. There was nowhere for him to go unless he reversed. And there was nowhere for me to go unless I reversed. Interesting thing was, I was in a low state of mind and I wasn't for reversing anywhere that time because the highway code said that I had right of way. I was in the right. I wasn't going to move for him. He should move for me. So what happened was he was obviously in exactly the same kind of state of mind as me. And we both just sat there in our cars. Nobody moved. Nobody moved for 25 minutes. I am late for my meeting, but I thought, he's not getting the better of me. The highway code says I have right of way. I'm not moving. And after 25 minutes, the guy takes out a book, puts his feet up on his dashboard and starts reading his book. At that point, I couldn't stop laughing. I was in hysterics. I had tears rolling down my face. And I found myself reversing down the hill to let him by. And as he went by, we waved at one another, laughing. So even in the midst of me being in a thought storm, and I'd been in a really, really bad mood and feeling very self-righteous about, I'm right, he's wrong, this is what's going to happen, there was the capacity for fresh thought. There was that capacity for laughter, lightheartedness and humour. That just let that pass, let that drama pass. And that's the beauty of our humanness, of the way that the principles work within us, is that's always there. Even in these moments of when you feel you're kind of in a stalemate, and nothing's going to change, that something can happen that all of a sudden just lightens the load or helps you see more clearly something just so different, so fresh. And these are my favourite moments, when something like that happens that just cracks me up, just makes me laugh. You see, presence, being present, being in the moment. When we're present and in the moment, we don't have a lot of thinking. We're not living in the past and we're not living in the future. We're just totally present. And we've all met people who are just totally present. They have this gorgeous energy about them. This feeling of neutrality and love, and there just doesn't seem to be a judgmental bone in their bodies. And it's because they're literally not paying attention to anything that's flying through their minds in the moment. As human beings, we have this wonderful potential. I call it time traveling because I love Star Trek and I love sci-fi. I call it time traveling. Dogs are very much in the moment. Okay. Human beings have this ability to use the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness to go back into our pasts or to project into our futures. But it's not real. It's imagined. And sometimes imagining the future is a wonderful thing because it can motivate you to do something or to get somewhere, as long as it's done with love and with humour and not rage and anger. On a webinar the other night there in my Missing Link Book Club, we spoke about love and forgiveness. And forgiveness is one of these things that the medical profession are starting to catch up on. They realise that if people live a life holding on to all sorts of grudges, then it plays havoc with our system. Any stressful thought that we have starts to cause inflammation in our bodies within about 60 seconds. So if you've had a lifetime of continually feeling stressed because you haven't forgiven someone, or someone makes you angry, or you're feeling stressed about work or whatever, what's happening is you're living in constant chronic inflammation. And when we live in that space, it causes damage to our organs and damage to our bodies. And in the group, we spoke about love and forgiveness, and how when we tend to live in the past, what we tend to do is most people tend to look at the negative things that have happened to them. But the wonderful thing about the past is it's over. It's done, it's finished. What you've needed to learn, more or less you've learned. And as Sid says, our memories are simply thoughts carried across time. And the first time I heard that, I couldn't stop laughing. And I know usually when I burst out laughing, I've seen something. More often than not, I don't know what I've seen, but I know that I've seen something because I can't stop laughing. And later on, I began to see that what I've actually seen is how often in my life I have travelled back in time to make myself feel completely miserable, sad, upset. Now, all the women in the group, how many times have you had a boyfriend or, you know, a lover or something, and the relationship ends? So what you tend to do is you find a really sad song and you play that sad song over and over and over again, making yourself feel worse, then even more worse, and then even more worse. And then maybe you watch a sad movie and then you feel even more worse. And then you explain it all to somebody else and you feel terrible because you've got yourself stuck in the past with a thought. Instead of seeing how you're using the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness, basically to screw yourselves over, ladies and gentlemen. They're divine gifts. They're gifts to have fun with. They're gifts to play with. They're gifts not to be serious about life with, because you're creating your experience of life moment to moment to moment to moment. So why would you want to always go digging in the past to make yourself feel miserable? Yet we all do it until you don't do it. One of the things I've always loved about knowing this understanding is the freedom that it brings me. The freedom to play. The freedom to see that in any given moment of time, I have a choice. I can respond or I can react. And it's understanding that freedom through the feeling helps me see where my state of mind is in any given moment of time. I know if my bitch button has been pressed, then I tend to be judgmental. I tend to be maybe more negative than I would normally be. But I know that only ever happens to me when I'm tired. So if my husband hears me being judgmental about anything, he'll say, "Time for bed, honey." Because he knows that it's not me. It's just, this is just my go-to place when I get tired. I get judgmental and a bit ratty. And it's interesting that you think, my God, why did it take me so long to figure that out? You know, it's like being slapped in the face with a wet fish 40 times. Same thing's happening, same thing's happening, same thing's happening, and I'm not seeing it. And this is what happens to all of us. We have to be present in the moment to see what it is we need to see. And knowing that we are all just a reflection of what we've been telling ourselves over all the years of our lives. Imagine that. You're wearing your thoughts from the inside out. So I was telling you about my youngest daughter, Lauren, getting involved with her visa. 6 weeks later, she's in London with her boyfriend down at the London Fashion Show. And she calls me and she says, I don't know how to tell you this, Mum. We'd bought her a new phone before she went on holiday, an iPhone 7S or whatever. You know, it was on a contract, 2-year contract. And She called me to let me know that she had had her phone stolen. Her phone wasn't insured, and she was 2 months into her contract. And she had phoned all of her sisters first before she'd called me, trying to get advice as to sort of what will mum say. And she called me, she's like, Mum, I'm really sorry, Mum, I'm really sorry. I've never heard such a grovelling phone call in all my life. So she's grovelling, and I've got this huge smile on my face, trying not to laugh. Thank God it wasn't FaceTime. And I just said to her, I said, did you leave it on a table where somebody could see it? Were you drunk? She says, no, Mum. She's, a guy bumped into me. He must have taken my phone then. I said, well, look, that's my fault, because I should have make sure that it was insured. I said, look, we'll just buy out of that contract. I said, we've got the money just now, we can do that, and we'll get insurance this time. And she's like, Mum, are you okay? I'm like, Lauren, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm sober. It's all good. It's not a problem. And she said to me later on that day, which just filled my heart and filled my eyes, she said, Mum, you not creating a drama out of that made me see how often I do. And how I can't argue with what is. Because it is what it is. I have never taught my kids about this understanding formally, yet they blow me away with what they've seen through just embodying this understanding from me and from their father. That's where the magic lies. The magic lies in living this understanding. You just get to see so much about life, about yourself, about other people. And it's the gift that just keeps giving, time and time and time again. You think you've seen something, and then you see it again, but you see something even more fresh, even more new about it. And I love that. There's an excitement, but there's just this wonderful peace of mind knowing that no matter what happens, I'm okay. And everybody else is okay, and they're always going to be okay. So even if my personal thinking is going crazy, I know I'm okay. I know that's what it does. And I know that it will calm down. There's a metaphor I use that in many of the courses that I do that helps people see that. And Sid talks about it in The Missing Link. He talks about personal mind and impersonal mind. And he says that our personal minds are always in chaos, always in chaos. And yet our impersonal mind is our true nature, and it's always peaceful. And the minute that I heard that, I just thought, oh my God, it's like a hurricane. The eye of the storm is always still. It's always peaceful. Just like my true nature, just like my soul. Like impersonal mind. Yet the wall of a storm is utterly chaotic. It grabs houses, it grabs cars, and it's going round and round and round and round and round and round. It's all the same thing. And as Sid says, impersonal mind and personal mind are actually, it's one mind, but there's two ways of using it. And when you realise that you're always still, you're always quiet in your true nature, then that chaos on the outside of the storm of my personal thinking no longer seems to bother me or any of the people that I share that with, because I can't stop that. I can't stop that chaos. There's 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. I can't stop it. A quiet mind isn't a mind that isn't thinking. A quiet mind is a mind that's at ease with itself, at total peace with itself, knowing that it is what it is. that beautiful stillness. And living in the present moment helps us access that stillness, because you're not living in the thought stream of life. You're not projecting into the future, and you're not falling back into the past. You're just living in this beautiful space of the present moment. And there's a wonderful story about a Buddhist monk, and he was in the monastery when a father came up to him from the local village, and the father said to him, "My daughter's pregnant, and my daughter has told me that it was you that made her pregnant." And the Buddhist monk said, "Is that so?" And the father said, "Yes, it is so. And when this child is born, I'm going to bring him to you, and you will look after him for the rest of his life, because I want nothing to do with him." And the Buddhist monk said, "Is that so?" So when the child was born, the Buddhist monk was delivered this child, this male child. And he looked after him for 18 years. And after the 18 years, the daughter admitted to her father who it was that made her pregnant, and it was another guy from the village. And her father was becoming quite old by this time, and he said, "I really need that boy then to help us in the farm." So he went back up to the Buddhist monk and he said, "I'm very sorry. My daughter has now told me who it was that made her pregnant, and I'm sorry I accused you, and I'm sorry you've had to bring up the boy." And the Buddhist monk said, "Is that so?" And then the father said, "I'd like to take the boy away. I need him to work in the farm." And the Buddhist monk said, "Is that so?" That story blew me away, because I began to see how often, even with this understanding, I was arguing with the present moment. Using the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness to argue with what is. I recently worked with a lady on a 3-day intensive who had an absolute fear of travelling, a morbid fear of travelling, because she'd had several really, really bad experiences many years before. And she just recently got married. And her husband was getting fed up with her because he wouldn't travel with her. And when we spoke over the 3-day intensive, she began to become more aware of how she spoke to herself, how she was using the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness against herself. And she started to feel a bit more relaxed about travelling, although she didn't travel. And then 4 months after the intensive, she said to me, "Jacquie, I've booked myself on a Caribbean holiday. I've got to take a flight to Barcelona. Then I'm on a week on a cruise." And she said, "I just booked it, but I want to cancel it." So we started to talk about now, this moment. And how did she feel in this moment? She says, "I feel good, I feel okay." I said, "Now, when you think about flying, how do you feel?" And the minute she thought about flying, what she started to feel was, such fright, and she was nervous. And I said, "What are you seeing when you think about that?" And she told me she was thinking about the time she was carried off flights because she was unwell, or she was sick, or the time she tried to get in a flight and she couldn't. And I explained to her about how we can use the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness to go into our past, to carry thoughts across time, to then add our awareness to them and bring them to life, absolute life. And she said to me, "Oh my God, Jacquie." I said, "Oh, what is it?" You're never quite sure what somebody's going to say. And she said, oh, that's just like buying a brown coat. I'm like, sorry, I don't understand. What do you mean? That's just like buying a brown coat. And she said, well, do you know if you go to the sales and they have all these coats on sale and you buy a coat, but you buy it in the wrong colour and you get it home? She says, I had that experience. I bought a brown coat and I wondered for ages why I didn't want the brown coat that I'd bought in the sale, but I couldn't return it. But I realised there was no point worrying about it because it was over. Couldn't stop laughing. She had seen in that moment how she had used the gifts of mind, thought, and consciousness. And for some things, she was willing to let them go. And for other things, she wasn't at that moment. And I heard from her just 2 weeks ago. She had the most wonderful time with her husband on this cruise, flew there, flew back. Nothing bothered her. So I call that one the brown coat insight. It didn't make sense to me, but it made sense to her. And that's what we're looking for, is something that makes sense to you in the moment, that releases you from drama, because drama can only come when you're fighting with what is. And when we fight with what is, we're usually projecting into the future, or we're living in the past. And it's when we're living in that stream, that beautiful stream of our true nature, and not in the stream of our thinking, then we truly understand intuition, because our bandwidth is wide open. We're not clogged down with that stream of thinking that we're paying attention to. It does. Intuition comes from being absolutely present in the moment with people and with yourself. There's a quietness and there's a stillness. There's an energy behind it that we know something is right. We know, but often we don't know why we know. We just know there's a loving, kind certainty about it. Versus when you're not sure and you're kind of up in your head and you're second guessing. And I know we've all experienced that before. There are times in life we just know. We know it's the right thing to do. And other times we don't, and we second guess and we change our minds all of the time. My husband and I, we moved house about 18 months ago. We lived in Edinburgh, practically in the city centre, 750,000 people. And one day I was looking on the internet and I found this house and I went, that's my dream house. And my husband played along with me and we came down to see this house, which was in a fishing village with 750 people. I had a broadband speed of 200 megabits per second in Edinburgh. Down in this village, I have a broadband speed of 2.1 in a good day. But there was something about this place. There was a feeling behind it that I knew that I was meant to live here. And when we came to see the property the second time, when we looked out of the windows, and sort of the sea view out of the windows, and I said something to my husband I've never said at any point, any time, anywhere to anyone else. I had tears in my eyes and I said to him, I feel as though I can breathe. So we moved, and it has been the best thing ever, just following that feeling. Following the feeling and finding better internet than the BT signal, which was only 2 point something. But you trust it. You trust it's going to be okay because you know that's where you're meant to be. And someone asked me the other day there, they said, Jacquie, do you trust your feelings? I said, nope, I don't. I don't trust my feelings. And the reason I don't trust my feelings is I live in the feeling of my thinking. Hello. Who would trust that? I trust the feeling, that deeper feeling, that guides me. Your feelings are just a result of whatever you're thinking consciously or unconsciously in the moment. So I don't trust my feelings, I trust my intuition. Bonnie, I've talked a lot. I could probably keep talking, but it may be worthwhile if anybody wants to ask a question. If not, I'll just keep rambling.
If you have a question, you can unmute yourself by scrolling down into the lower left-hand corner of the screen.
Jacquie, could you say some more about the difference in the feelings and your deeper feeling? And that's often confusing. And I'd just love to hear you say more about that.
Okay, thanks, William. Oh, it's true that we live in the feeling of our thinking, okay? Something that used to happen to me every morning, early morning, William, was I would wake up feeling sick. I would wake up with a thought storm in my head, okay? Sort of sad, quite depressive thoughts. And I took them very, very seriously. So whatever I was thinking, sometimes I was aware of the content of what I was thinking, but most of the time I wasn't. There was just this feeling of dread, this heaviness. In that instance, I was living in the feeling of my thinking, whether I was conscious of what the thinking was or not. Okay? It wasn't a nice feeling. It was a heavy, kind of depressive kind of feeling. But I learned through understanding the principles that all I was doing at that moment in time was, because I was waking up in the middle of the night, my state of mind or my level of awareness or consciousness was lowered because my system was groggy. I'd been asleep for so many hours. I was probably dehydrated because I hadn't drank for many hours. And my system, because I haven't been up walking, my lymphatic system's kind of, it's kind of stagnant and it's not moving the way that it should do. And I learned that when I feel that way, I don't pay attention to it. Okay? I never believe a thing I think in the morning until I've had a walk, had a cup of tea or a glass of water and had a shower. So I just don't even, it's like, yeah, whatever. But yet many people take that as gospel, that's how they're thinking and that's serious. So that's feelings, okay? Living in the feelings of my thinking. The feeling that people talk about is really just your true nature. It's that quietness and the stillness that we all experience or have experienced. That's why I don't trust my feelings, but I trust the feeling. Does that explain it?
That's good.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Does anybody else have anything they want to share or laugh about with me?
Hi, Jacquie.
Hi, Shameen.
Everyone. I feel inspired to just share some insights that I've been having while you were talking. And I love what you say about just grounding into the deeper feeling of intuition. And I'm really starting to see quite clearly now that as I kind of go through life and through my day, I can feel myself flowing through lots of different feelings and emotions. And even as you were talking, I was kind of witnessing emotions and feelings coming up. But I just still felt really comfortable within that. I still knew that underneath all of that noise and all of the thinking and the feelings that are coming up, that there's just this beautiful stillness that's ever present. It's always there. And I think just being able to allow myself the freedom to really fall into that, and to know that all I ever need to do is just express whatever is on my heart, whatever really truly wants to be said and done, and knowing that that's enough, that that's okay, that I can just allow the moment to unfold in whatever way it wants to. There's never any need for me to try and control that, or for it to be anything other than what it is. And I'm really starting to trust that it's okay to just let my heart lead the way through life, let the beating of my heart, that rhythm of life, just guide me, and to just let go of any need for that to be anything other than what it is. So I just really want to thank you for showing up and for inspiring such beautiful, deep insights for myself, and for really just kind of I think just you showing up as you, being yourself, has kind of allowed me to see that I can do that as well, and that's just really special. So thank you. I just wanted to share that with you.
Oh, you're so welcome, Shanine. It's lovely to hear from you. And I'm listening to you talking, I'm thinking, beat of my heart, she sounds like a bass player.
I am a bass player.
There you go. There you go. Do you know, Shanine, if I was to say to you that you can't fall out of your true nature, that's always there. So even when you're caught up in your personal thinking, your true nature is always, always there. So you're not, and I always say to the people that I work with, listen to how you speak to yourself. Listen to the words that you use, because our conditioned minds have views and meanings and explanations for words that we've been either conditioned to know or we've learned through personal experience that may be quite weighty. So it's about not hypnotizing yourself with your own language. Okay? There's nothing to fall out of. There is nothing to take you away from your true nature. It's only ever a thought, whether you're conscious of it or not. And all thought is completely neutral. It means nothing. It means nothing. Even when we attach our awareness to it, that's when we start to bring it to life. We start to make meaning out of it. And usually at that point, what's happening simultaneously and very, very quickly is Sid talks about the brain and the mind are two completely different things. The brain is biological and the mind is spiritual. So our brains are there to store and retrieve information, okay? So we have an experience and our brains are wonderful. So we have this experience, say you're going to meet someone that you don't like very much, but you feel as though you have to meet them. So you go to meet this person. As you're going to meet this person, your brain pops up every single memory and experience that you've had with that person. And it thinks it's doing us a favour because it thinks it's giving us the information we need to have a dialect or a conversation with this other person. But that's us going into the past. But knowing that that's what happens allows us just to go, yeah. And it's all about the present moment. Because in the present moment, we see people for who they are and where we are out with our conditioned minds. From that beautiful space, that beautiful universal intelligence, that impersonal mind allows us to truly be with another person. So dance with that. Thank you, Shanine. I love answering questions. So if anyone has anything else they want to ask. Oh, Alexis.
Question. Are you not tempted, knowing what you know about how you work, about how your body works and how your mind works, and obviously mind, thought and consciousness, how all that works, are you not just a bit tempted to try and orchestrate a better you, kind of to get it and try and like play with it and be like, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to change the state that I'm in when I'm not feeling so good? What's the difference between that kind of, oh, I'm going offline and I need to fix it, and I'm just going to be sensible and support myself and give myself the best chance of having the best experience?
That's a great question.
Does that make sense as a question?
Oh God, yeah, that's a fantastic question, Alexis. And I think in my life, I have worn so many masks. And there was a programme that used to be on British television called Mr. Ben, and it was a cartoon. And Mr. Ben used to go into a cupboard and put various outfits on, and then he would come out and be this completely different person. And I think I've spent the last 45 years of my life doing that. It's only since I've come across the principles that I don't do that anymore. It's exhausting, absolutely exhausting to be who you are not. There's a joy and there's just a quietness in being who I am. There's a freedom in it. So if I'm not showing up as my best self in a situation, like I described earlier on to William, there's a feeling that comes from that. I know where I am. I know where my state of mind is. And I always laugh because Bill Pettit talks about when he knows he's not in a good state of mind, he keeps his hands in his pockets and he keeps his mouth shut. Okay? Through that feeling of the feelings of knowing that I'm not feeling good, that I'm feeling angry or I'm feeling judgmental. Do I want to mask that? No, I don't. No, I don't. But do I want to hurt anybody? No, I don't. So the best thing for me to do is to do what my wisdom guides me to do, which might be go to bed. It might be go for a walk. It might be keep quiet. But I know that each and all of us on this webinar and everybody else in the world is kind of like a pressure cooker, okay? So you're being who you are and trying to suppress who you are. What happens? All sorts of behaviours start to happen that are not your true self. And those behaviours tend to make you want to look in a different direction for a different feeling. And that's where the eating comes in, that's where the smoking comes in, that's where the alcohol comes in, rather than just settling to where you are and recognising you're not the best version of yourself in this present moment. And you can tell that by the way you're feeling. To me, it's not an intellectual process, it's an embodied feeling. And then it's kind of like, okay, well, what would I do, And I usually know what to do. So I don't have a step 1, step 2, step 3, but I do know that I just want to be me, Alexis, whatever me is in any given moment in time. In fact, that's the only person I'm ever going to be is me. It's the only person I ever was going to be was me. Just as you're all just going to be who you are. And being comfortable with that. Knowing that I'm always living in the feeling of my thinking. And that in fact, most of the thoughts that I'm thinking mean nothing. Nada. Nothing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
I think it brings you back to the difference between planning and intuition, isn't it? That
Yeah, but
it's about listening for the intuition.
Yeah, listening to the intuition and planning with that. I always say to people that there's a divine dance here, you know, and sometimes we live the dance as a tango, and sometimes we live the dance of life as a waltz. Now, if your dance is that your intuition is guiding you to plan and do what you're meant to do, then go and do it. There are no rules. There is no blueprint. There's nothing. And I think a lot of people are getting caught up in this. There's a certain way to sort of to understand the principles, and there's a certain way of living. It's like one of the most freeing things to me ever is there's no blueprint and there are no rules. Not that I paid much attention to them in the past anyway, but the fact that I know how I'm creating my experience of life, as is every other sentient being, there's a huge freedom in that. To do what I need to do, I need to do it. I love making lists. I love lists. You know, I have all sorts of plans. I love it because I'm one of these people. If you've ever seen the movie Up, you know, with the dogs, and the wee main dog who's the main character, and he's like, I love you, master, squirrel. That's me. My mind goes off all sorts of tangents all the time. But I find it funny. And what I do is I create lists because lists keep me on task. Otherwise, I'm just like a wee butterfly and I'm all over the place. And I love doing that too. My husband calls it faffing. Just being me. Thank you, Alexis. Great question.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else? Come on. Even to share something would be lovely.
I just feel inspired by what you've just said about freedom and just seeing we have absolute freedom to be ourselves. And the more that I recognise that, the more I recognise that that's all I've ever wanted. But I already have it, and I've always had it, and I always will. And it just feels so light, so liberating, so freeing, to know that space, that kind of infinite peace is always there, always there. And I don't need to try and be anything else or do anything in particular other than just what I feel inspired to do in the moment. And it is just absolute freedom, and it's just wonderful. And I think when we wake up to just allowing that, or when I've woken up to just allowing that openness, that liberation in, and knowing that that is who I am, it's just pure peace, pure tranquility, the space, the openness, the freedom. There are no words for it. It's almost like I just feel like I'm kind of dancing round, trying to find the words, but none of them quite capture just that depth and that beauty and that freedom of feeling, of just knowing that I can always just express who I am. I can always just express the essence of what I feel I want to say and do in the moment. There's nothing more that ever needs to be done than that. And it's just such a lightness and such a wonderful, liberating feeling.
Remember,
I don't know what else to say.
No, it's perfect, Sinead. Remember what I said at the beginning of this? It's beyond the words. And the energy and the feeling that you're coming from right now is so beautiful. It's such a gorgeous energy. And someone, you know, in your company, you wouldn't need to say that. They would feel it.
But that's who we are, isn't it? It is. We are that feeling. We are that freedom. We are that love, that peace, that space, that openness, the liberating feeling of it, that's us, that's who we are, that's what comes through us and out of us, and you know, that's what inspires us to just be with life, and just knowing that that's always there. It's just wonderful, it's just lovely.
It sure is. Thanks, Shanine. Well, I think if that's us finished, I just want to thank everybody for taking time out to come along tonight. I really, really, really appreciate you coming along to spend time with me, because I know how busy people are, and I know how life gets. And hello, Alexis, a sweet person, you're lovely. And I just wanted to say, if anyone is interested in some of the courses that I have coming along in the next month or so, please sign up to my mailing list, because many of the courses I'm going to be doing are looking at making the spiritual very ordinary, just so that we can talk to other people about this, and just day-to-day language and through the feeling. That's what's important to me. And if you would like this video, and maybe write a comment underneath it too, that would be really useful, because that helps to point people in this general direction. So thank you again. I really love that you've come to spend time with me tonight.
Thank you so much, Jackie. This was really lovely. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody who joined us live. And the next 3PGC webinar is on September 12th, and it's with Elsie Spittle. So hope you can join us then as well. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you. Thanks, love. Bye.